one does not have a timer, but we're gonna answer these questions, and then we're gonna read, and then based on your reading, you're gonna answer the questions.
Okay.
So what do you think we should do first?
Read?
Well, since we have to answer the questions, what we can do first, and what's a really good thing to do, is you want to read the questions first. That way you know what you're looking for when you read the story.
Okay.
So if we were going to read a story about Kyrie, and one of the questions was, who is Kyrie? You know? If we already know the question, when we read, we can look, we're like, oh, Kyrie is my cousin. You know? Alright.
You have glitter on your eye. You have
Oh,
to
I
be
think
careful
that-
not to get it in your...
I think Kyrie put glitter on me. Alright, so let's read the questions, okay?
What is a costume? What are ways that Native Americans told their stories? Contrast what you have learned about the historic Native American cultures and what you know about your own culture. How are they different? In your own words, explain the importance of folklore. Explain why some tribes develop weaving.
So, for the first question, what is a custom? Do you know what a custom is?
I thought it said custom.
It's a custom. So custom and costume sound a lot alike, right? But the spelling is a little bit different. So a custom, do you know what that is? A custom is something that you do in your heritage or in your culture. So one of my customs, because I'm Salvadorian, is making pupusas. Because pupusas are the little round things that kind of look like a tortilla, but with stuff inside of them.
Oh.
And we also celebrate Day of the Dead, because that's our custom. It's something we do with our culture. What do you do in your culture?
I don't know what culture I am in.
What's your mom?
Huh?
Well, I know Nisha's Mexican, right? Your dad is Mexican, so you're Mexican. But you're also American, right? Because you live in America. So what do you do every November? Where you eat turkey?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So that's an American custom. Like people in France, they don't do that because they're not American. So it's something that you do in your culture. Like, what do you do in February?
Valentine's Day?
Yeah, that's an American custom. We do it in America. And then, what about number 4? Can you read number 4 again?
Explain why some tribes developed waving.
Alright, that's number 5. So, weaving. Do you know what weaving is?
No.
Do you know what knitting is? Knitting? So weaving is something that Native Americans did before knitting. They would get a bunch of like leaf palms, or they would get material and they would weave things together. It's kind of like how fabric is made, like how your shirt is made, and how when you knit, you are knitting the fabric together. And number 4, remember that one again?
In your own words, explain the importance of folklore.
Folklore. Do you know what folklore is? So folklore is kind of like fairy tales. Yeah. So it's kind of like a story that your grandparents tell you or your parents tell you that goes from one person to the next. So, like you heard of El Cucuy?
No.
You never heard? Oh, have you heard of the Boogeyman?
Yeah.
So the Boogeyman is not real, right? Or do you think the Boogeyman is real?
Maybe.
Maybe, but it's a story, right? The Boogeyman's a story. It's something like. What about Cinderella? You heard of Cinderella?
Yeah.
So Cinderella, it's not really a real person, but the story, like, you watch the movie and then you can read a book about Cinderella to Kyrie, so that story is going from one person to the next. Alright, so now that we know our questions, we're going to read the passage. Alright? And then if you want, after this we can have a little break. Okay? Alright.
Do I start now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Native Americans, Indian groups in North America lived in different cultural regions, of each of which developed its own customs and Traditions. A custom is the specific way in which a group of people does something. It can include how foods are prepared, what clothing is worn, the kinds of celebration, and much more. The set of customs developed and shared by a culture over time is tradition. A culture's customs are often determined by the natural resources found in environment in the desert southwest region. Cloth weaving developed as a custom. The area has fewer large animals whose skin can be used for making clothing or blankets. Cloth weaving was a way of meeting and the need for clothes without using animal skins. In the eastern lands area, however, hunting and fishing were daily activities since it was easy to get animal skins. Developing skills like weaving were less important. The traditional roles of men and women in the native tribe varied as well. In hunting cultures, men were often away from home during the day to hunt animals for food. Women did many chores around the village while they were gone. In cultures where crops were grown, it was usually the men who tended them. Folklore was an important part of all Native American cultures. They have no written language telling tribe stories. Orally was the way they preserved them from generation to generation, so they would not be lost. The tribe used chanting, storytellers, and singing as a way to remember the tribe's folk tale. The stories told the tribe's history, funny adventures, and accomplishments. Folk tales also helped to unite the people of the tribe. Religion was an important part of Native American culture. The celebration of the tribe's faith and workshop often involved a special.
Do your best to sound it out. If you can, okay? You need help?
Ceremony?
Almost close. You got the first part, right?
Ceremony?
Ceremony.
Ceremonies.
There you go. You got it.
Harvest ceremonies were a common way to give thanks to the tribe's god for a good crop. Other ceremonies combined religions, songs, and dances with social activities. The ceremonies reinforced the people's trust in their leaders' ability to provide for their needs.
So I really like the way that you tried to sound things out and like you got custom. The one I'm gonna tell you is weaving and waving. So waving, think like a wave like the ocean. Weaving, think like knitting. It sounds very different. So weaving and waving. Can you try?
Weaving and waving.
There you go. Perfect. All right. So now that we read it, I want you to try to answer the questions. Okay? Do you want to use a pen or do you want to use a pencil?
Can I use the pencil?
Yeah. Go ahead.
A tradition.
Do your best. Okay?
What is it?
If you want, you can look back in here. If you need any help, you can ask me.
A tradition.
That's awesome.
What are the ways that Native Americans told their stories? In singing,
Yeah.
and can put that?
Yeah, you can put anything that you think is right. Remember, this is my homework. So, I just want you to do your best. You can look back at the stories, what we read.
I'm going to put in sinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the one I remember well.
That's great.
Contrast what you have learned about the historic Native American cultures and what do you know about your own culture. How are they different? What?
What are you confused about?
The whole question.
The whole question? Okay. Do you know what contrast means?
Yes.
What's contrast?
Contrast means they're not alike.
They're not alike. Perfect. So, I make pupusas and we put on white and blue dresses in the Salvadorian culture. You're American and your family is Mexican too, right? So, in your American culture, do you make pupusas?
No.
No. So that's something different. So in the Native American culture that we read, do you do things that they did back then?
No.
No. What do you do now?
Do Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day?
Yeah, you do. What else do you do? Like, how did they get their food?
Hunting?
Do you hunt?
No.
So that's the same or is that different? Do you guys get the food the same way?
No.
No. Alright, so that's something different. That's contrasting.
So can I put, we have Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Need some more food.
Alright, and then I want one more thing. One more thing that's different between you and Native Americans.
And we don't hunt?
That's great. Alright, we got 2 more questions and then if you want you can take a break, okay? Alright, what's the next question?
In your own words, explain the importance of folklore. I don't know what the importance is.
Alright, well let's look at it. So the good thing is that
My
some
foot
words,
is really itchy.
it's okay. So the good thing is that some words, you see how some words are darker than others?
Uh-huh.
So what word are we looking for?
Folklore.
So how about we start reading that to remind ourselves what we read, okay?
Okay. It was an important part of the Native American creatures. They had no written languages, telling tribe stories. O'Reilly was the
Orally?
O'Reilly.
Do you know what orally is?
Orally? No.
Orally means when you're talking. So instead of writing things down, they would tell each other things.
Orally was the way they preserved them from generation to generation.
So
The importance of the folk tale is telling the stories to the tribe.
yeah, that's something really important. Because like if you don't tell other people anything, do you think that other people are going to know? Yeah. So that's something really important. That's something we can write down.
Wait, what did I say?
Telling.
what?
You said it. Telling. If you need to read it again, you can read it again.
No, I don't know. I forgot what I said.
Telling. What were they telling each other?
Is one of the kids here? I just heard a sneeze.
I think they're probably in the second bed.
Oh. Telling
What were they telling each other?
stories
There you go.
to the tribe. So they can okay.
I love that you added that thing at the end. That's really nice. I like that you added. Can you give me a high five? Alright, last one. Okay? Let's shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Last one.
Okay.
Alright, Eddie?
Yeah. Explain why some tribes developed weaving.
There you go! Good job. Weaving. So explain why some tribes develop weaving. After this, we can have a break. We can go pet Punky. We can go get some food if you want. Whatever you want, okay?
No, not Pet Punky. She made me itchy.
Oh, okay.
And she made me my lips itchy because I kissed her on the nose.
How about we just get some food or drink?
And I beeped her on the nose.
Or you can put your feet in the pool or something. Sound
Yeah.
good? Alright. Alright, last question, and then we can go put our feet in the pool. Okay?
Okay.
Alright.
You and me.
Yeah.
Explain why some tribes developed weaving.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I like the fact that you said weaving. Like, you got it that time. See?
Yeah.
That's perfect. Alright.
So they can have clothes for everyone.
That's great. Yeah.
So they walk around with no clothes. That's true.
Well, yeah, that's actually really true. Some tribes
They
didn't
don't
have
have
any
clothes.
clothes. Some tribes weave their clothes. But some tribes didn't do weaving, or they had clothes, but what did they use? Some tribes did have clothes, but they used something else instead of weaving it. It's in here. You want to read it again?
They used animal skin.
Yeah. So, we're going to write that down, okay? Because other tribes,
And other tribes used skin.
that's awesome. You're right. Some tribes were just walking around. You want to walk around naked like
No.
me? Some tribes are just walking around naked. Some tribes use animal skins, and some tribes are just weaving. Alright, let's go to the pool.